The wrench slipped from Taeho's grease-stained hands and clattered against the metal floor. He cursed under his breath and wiped the sweat from his forehead. The cargo bay of the mining station was hot, always too hot, and the ventilation system had been broken for 3 months. Nobody cared enough to fix it. Nobody cared about much on Hanel 7. Taeho had been working on this forgotten mining colony for 5 years now. 5 long years of fixing broken ships, replacing worn-out parts, and watching good people leave for better opportunities. He was 32 years old and felt like 60. The pay was decent, but the loneliness ate at him. His sister Yuna sent messages from Earth, always asking when he would come home. He always said soon, but they both knew it was a lie. The explosion came without warning. A flash of bright light lit up the sky outside the viewport. Taeho dropped his tools and ran to the window. A small ship was falling from the sky, trailing fire and smoke. It was not human-made. The design was all wrong, too smooth, too organic, like it had been grown rather than built. It crashed into the rocky ground about 2 kilometers from the station. "Did you see that?" Kwan's voice crackled over the comm system. Kwan was the station administrator, a nervous man who followed every rule in the book. "I saw it," Taeho replied. "Should I go check it out?" "Absolutely not. Wait for security. That's protocol." Taeho looked at the smoke rising in the distance. Protocol said to wait. Protocol said a lot of things. But protocol did not account for survivors, who might be dying while security finished their card game in the break room. He grabbed his emergency kit and headed for the exit. The walk across the rocky terrain was hard. Hanel 7 had thin air, and every breath felt like sucking through a straw. Taeho's breathing mask fogged up as he climbed over the sharp rocks. The crashed ship sat in a shallow crater, still smoking. It was small, maybe the size of a shuttle, and its hull was made of a strange purple metal that seemed to shimmer in the dying light. The hatch was open. Taeho's heart pounded as he approached. He had never seen an alien before. Sure, he had heard stories. Everyone had. The Veltari Empire controlled a dozen star systems, and they had been humanity's distant neighbors for 20 years. But they kept to themselves, and humans kept to their own space. This was the first time Taeho had ever seen their technology up close. Inside the ship, he found the warrior. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with skin that looked like it was made of dark crystal. Her body was covered in deep cracks and violet blood pooled beneath her. She was dying. Taeho knew it the moment he saw her. He had seen enough death on this station to recognize it, but it was the child that made him freeze. Huddled in the corner was a small figure, no bigger than a 6-year-old human child. Her skin was lighter than the warrior's, almost translucent, with patterns that glowed faintly silver. She had large eyes that reminded Taeho of his niece, and those eyes were filled with pure terror. The warrior's hand shot out and grabbed Taeho's wrist. Her grip was weak but desperate. A small device on her armor crackled to life, translating her words into rough human speech. "Please," the warrior whispered. "Protect her. Protect Arisul. She is my daughter, princess. They come for her. Kill her. You must hide her, please." "I don't understand," Taeho said. "Who's coming?" "I can get you medical help. No time. They killed King, my mate. Now hunt princess. Please, human. I beg you. Save her." The warrior pressed something into Taeho's hand, a small crystal pendant, and then her grip went slack. Her eyes dimmed like dying stars. She was gone. Taeho stood there, frozen, staring at the dead alien and the terrified child. This was insane. This was not his problem. He was just a mechanic. He fixed engines and replaced parts. He did not get involved in alien politics or dead warriors or hunted princesses. The child whimpered. That sound broke through his shock. Taeho looked at her, really looked at her. She was shaking, tears running down her crystalline cheeks, staring at her dead mother. She was just a kid. A scared, lost kid who had just watched her mother die. He heard voices in the distance. Security was finally coming. Taeho made a decision that he knew was stupid, illegal, and probably going to get him killed. He pulled off his jacket and wrapped it around the small alien girl. She flinched at his touch but did not pull away. "It's okay," he whispered, even though he knew she could not understand. "I've got you." He picked her up. She was lighter than he expected, her body warm but humming with a strange energy. He tucked her inside his jacket and zipped it up, leaving just enough room for her to breathe. Then he walked out of the ship and waited. Security arrived 5 minutes later, 2 bored guards in dirty uniforms. They barely looked at him. See anything? One of them asked. Dead alien inside, Tejo said, keeping his voice steady. Looks like the ship was damaged before it crashed. No survivors. The guards peered into the ship, saw the body, and nodded. They did not look too closely. Nobody wanted extra paperwork. We'll call it in. Head back to the station. Tejo walked back across the rocks, each step careful and measured. Inside his jacket, he felt the small alien child trembling. Her mother's last words echoed in his mind. Protect her. They come for her. He did not know who they were. He did not know what he had just gotten himself into. All he knew was that he had a scared child hidden in his quarters, and every instinct he had screamed that this was a terrible idea. But when he finally reached his small room and unzipped his jacket, the child looked up at him with those large, frightened eyes. She touched his face gently with one crystalline hand, and despite everything, despite the fear and the stupidity of what he had done, Tejo felt something he had not felt in years. He felt needed. Okay, he whispered to the alien child. Okay, we'll figure this out. Outside his window, the stars glittered cold and distant. Somewhere out there, someone was hunting this child. Somewhere out there, a murdered king's enemies were searching. And Tejo, a lonely mechanic on a forgotten mining station, had just made himself their target. He looked down at the small girl, now curled up on his bunk, still shaking with fear and grief. He thought about calling security, about turning her over to the authorities. It would be the smart thing to do, the safe thing, but Tejo had never been very good at doing the smart thing. Tomorrow, he told himself. I'll figure it out tomorrow. The child's eyes slowly closed, exhausted from fear and loss. Tejo sat on the floor beside his bunk, watching over her as she slept. He did not sleep at all that night. He had no idea that this single act of kindness would change the fate of 2 civilizations. He only knew that he could not let this child die alone. 3 weeks passed like a slow nightmare. Tejo learned quickly that hiding an alien princess was much harder than he had imagined. The child, Arisul, he reminded himself, her name was Arisul, barely made a sound, but her very existence was a constant weight on his shoulders. Every footstep in the hallway outside his quarters made his heart race. Every knock on his door sent panic through his chest. She did not speak his language, and he did not speak hers. Communication happened through gestures, drawings, and patience. Lots of patience. On the 3rd day, Tejo gave her a datapad and showed her how to draw. She drew pictures of a great palace with soaring towers. She drew a tall man with a kind face, her father, Tejo guessed. She drew her mother, the warrior who had died in the crashed ship, and she drew the woman who killed them. The drawing showed a tall figure with sharp features and cold eyes. Arisul drew this woman holding a weapon, standing over bodies. The child's small hand shook as she drew, and tears fell onto the screen. Tejo understood. This woman, whoever she was, had murdered Arisul's family and was hunting her now. Food was another problem. Tejo tried giving Arisul normal human food, but she became sick. Her skin, which should have glowed with silver light, turned dull and gray. Panic seized him. He was killing her through ignorance. He needed help. That was when he told Ha-Yun. Ha-Yun was a shuttle pilot, one of the few people on the station Tejo actually trusted. They had worked together for 3 years, and she had saved his life once when an engine nearly exploded. He found her in the hangar, running maintenance on her shuttle. I need to tell you something, Tejo said quietly, and you're going to think I'm insane. I already think you're insane, Ha-Yun replied without looking up from her work. You chose to live on this dead rock. I'm hiding an alien child in my quarters. Ha-Yun dropped her wrench. It bounced twice on the metal floor before rolling away. She stared at him, mouth open. You're what? The ship that crashed 3 weeks ago. There was a survivor, a child. Her mother was murdered. I couldn't just leave her. Tejo, do you have any idea how illegal that is? If they find out, I know. But she's dying. I don't know what to feed her. I need help. Ha-Yun was quiet for a long moment. Then she sighed. The kind of deep sigh that said her life was about to get much more complicated. Show me. Back in his quarters, Arisul hid under the bunk when Ha-Yun entered. It took 10 minutes of gentle coaxing before the child emerged. Ha-Yun's eyes widened when she saw her. She's beautiful, Ha-Yun whispered, and so young. Can you help? Ha-Yun pulled out her datapad and started researching. Filtari biology was not well documented in human databases, but she found some basic information. Their bodies needed specific minerals, things that humans did not normally eat. She made a list. I can get these from medical supplies, Hyun said. But Taeho, you can't keep her hidden forever. Eventually someone will find out, I know. I don't know what else to do. Hyun looked at the small alien child, then at Taeho. Her expression softened. This is insane, she said. But it's the right kind of insane. I'll help you. With Hyun's help, Taeho created a special mixture of minerals and compounds. Arisul ate it cautiously at first, then more eagerly. Within 2 days, the silver glow returned to her skin. She smiled for the first time, and Taeho felt his heart lift. But their time was running out. On day 21, the alarms blared throughout the station. Taeho was in the maintenance bay when Kwan's panicked voice came over the speakers. All personnel report to stations immediately. Veltari warship entering orbit. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Taeho's blood turned to ice. He ran back to his quarters, his boots pounding against the metal floors. Arisul looked up when he burst through the door, her silver eyes wide with fear. She had heard the alarms too. Somehow she knew what they meant. The station's communication system crackled to life. A new voice spoke, cold and commanding. The translator converted the Veltari speech into human language. Humans of Station Hunil 7. You are harboring a fugitive of the Veltari Empire. Princess Arisul, daughter of the fallen king. Surrender her immediately and no harm will come to you. Refuse and your station will be destroyed. Taeho's door chimed. He opened it to find Kwan standing there, flanked by security guards. Taeho, they're searching all quarters. They say the princess was seen near the crash site 3 weeks ago. They're going room by room. How long do we have? Taeho asked, his mind racing. Maybe 2 hours. I'm sorry. I have to let them search. If I don't, they'll kill everyone on this station. Kwan left and Taeho closed the door. He looked at Arisul, who seemed to understand the danger. She was trembling again, just like the night he found her. His comm device beeped. It was Hyun. Taeho, get to Hangar Bay 3 now, bring the girl. What are you doing? Saving your stupid life, move. Taeho grabbed Arisul and wrapped her in his jacket again. The hallways were chaos. People were running, shouting, trying to figure out what was happening. Nobody paid attention to one mechanic hurrying toward the hangars. Hyun was waiting in her shuttle, engines already warming up. Dongsu, the old engineer, was there too, along with Yoonji, the station doctor who had helped create Arisul's food mixture. Get in, Hyun ordered. You're all going to get killed for this, Taeho said. Probably, Dongsu replied with a grin. But I've lived long enough. Might as well do something worth remembering. Yoonji handed Taeho a bag. Medical supplies. Enough mineral compound to last her 2 months. If you're going to run, at least keep her alive. I can't ask you to do this. You didn't ask, Hyun snapped. Now shut up and get in the shuttle. They launched just as Veltari soldiers began storming Taeho's quarters. The shuttle shot out of the hangar into the black of space. Behind them, the massive Veltari warship loomed like a dark moon. They're targeting us, Hyun said, her hands flying over the controls. Can you outrun them? Not a chance. But I can get us to the asteroid field. Hold on. The shuttle dove and weaved as energy blasts lit up the space around them. Taeho held Arisul close, shielding her with his body. She buried her face in his chest, her small hands gripping his shirt. One blast hit their port engine. The shuttle screamed and spun. We're hit, Hyun shouted. I'm losing control. They tumbled into the asteroid field, spinning wildly. Hyun fought with the controls, trying to stabilize. Finally, she managed to land, or crash really, on a large asteroid. The shuttle groaned and settled, damaged but intact. Everyone alive? Hyun asked. Taeho checked Arisul. She was scared but unhurt. We're okay. The Veltari ship can't follow us into the field, Dongsu said, checking the sensors. Too many asteroids. But we're stuck here too. This shuttle isn't going anywhere. They sat in the damaged shuttle, floating in a field of rocks, being hunted by an alien empire. Taeho looked at the people who had risked everything to help him. Ha-eun, Dongsu, Yoonji. They could have turned him in. They should have. Why? Taeho asked. Why help me? Why risk your lives? Hyun turned to look at him, then at Arisul. Because, she said simply, it's the right thing to do. She's just a kid, and you're trying to protect her. That's all the reason I need. Arisul looked up at all of them. She did not understand their words, but she understood their actions. Slowly, she placed one small hand on each of their arms, a gesture of thanks. In the distance, the Veltari warship circled the asteroid field, waiting. They were trapped, hunted, and running out of time. But for the first time since finding Arisul, Taiho did not feel alone. The damaged shuttle drifted through the asteroid field for 6 days before the food situation became critical. Taiho had rationed everything carefully. The mineral compound that Yunji had prepared for Arisul was enough for 2 months, but their own human food supplies were meant for short trips, not extended survival. By day 4, they were eating half rations. By day 6, they were down to emergency packs that tasted like cardboard. Arisul noticed. She was young, but she was not stupid. She watched Taiho give her full portions of the mineral mixture, while he ate less and less. On the 7th day, when he prepared her meal, she pushed it back toward him and shook her head. "You need to eat," Taiho said gently. Even though he knew she did not understand the words, she pushed it back again more firmly. Then she pointed at him and made an eating gesture. Her silver eyes were determined. "I'm fine," Taiho lied. "You're growing. You need it more." Arisul crossed her small arms and refused to touch the food. Hayun, watching from the pilot's seat, laughed despite their situation. "She's stubborn. Reminds me of someone." "I'm not stubborn," Taiho muttered. "You're the most stubborn person I've ever met," Dongsu said. "You hid an alien princess for 3 weeks. That's beyond stubborn. That's crazy." Eventually they compromised. Taiho ate half of his emergency ration, and Arisul ate her mineral compound. But Taiho could see himself getting weaker. His hands shook slightly when he worked on the shuttle repairs. His vision sometimes blurred. He was slowly starving, and everyone knew it. But something else was growing during those long days of drifting through space. Something unexpected. A bond. Arisul began teaching Taiho her language. She would point at objects and say the Veltari word clearly. Then she would wait patiently while he tried to repeat it, his human tongue struggling with the crystalline sounds. When he got it wrong, she would giggle, a sound like wind chimes that made everyone smile. She taught him the word for friend, for safe, for thank you. In return, Taiho taught her simple human words: ship, star, food. She learned quickly, her young mind absorbing the new language like water into sand. Within days, she could speak simple sentences in broken human speech. "Taiho good," she would say, patting his arm. "Hayun fly ship good. Dongsu make fix." One night, though night and day had no meaning in space, Arisul could not sleep. She sat in the corner of the shuttle, drawing on her datapad. Taiho sat beside her, exhausted but unable to rest. She showed him her drawings. They were different now. Before, she had drawn her dead parents, her destroyed home, the woman who hunted her. But these new drawings showed something else. She drew Taiho holding her hand. She drew Hayun smiling. She drew all of them together in the shuttle, surrounded by stars. In one drawing, she had written words in both Veltari and human. Taiho could not read Veltari script, but the human words were simple. "My new family." Something tight squeezed in Taiho's chest. He thought about his real family back on Earth, his sister Yuna and her daughter. He had not seen them in 5 years. He had left them to make money on a mining station, always promising to come home soon. And now he might never see them again. But looking at this small alien child who had lost everything, who had watched her mother die and her world burn, Taiho realized something important. Family was not just about blood. It was about who you protected, who you sacrificed for, who you chose to love. "Yes," he whispered, touching the drawing gently. "Family." Arisul smiled and leaned against him. Within minutes, she was asleep. Hayun found them like that an hour later, Taiho holding the sleeping alien child. Both of them peaceful despite the danger surrounding them. "You're good with her," Hayun said quietly. "I just do what feels right. That's what makes you good." On day 9, Taiho discovered something important. He was examining the mineral compound, trying to figure out if there was any way to stretch it further, when he noticed something odd. The compound had a specific chemical structure. Out of curiosity, he analyzed his own emergency rations. They contained some of the same base minerals. It was a tiny overlap, maybe 5% of what Arisul needed, but it was there. If he could extract and concentrate those minerals, he could supplement her food supply. But it would mean using up all of his remaining rations. He would have nothing left to eat. Taiho did not hesitate. He spent the next 6 hours working with Yunji, who knew more about chemistry than he did. Together, they figured out how to extract the minerals from his rations and combine them with what remained of the special compound. It was not perfect, but it would work. "This is suicide," Yunji said bluntly. "If you give up your food, you'll die in a week." "Then we better find help in a week," Taeho replied. He did not tell Arisul what he had done. He just gave her the enhanced compound and told her it was a special mixture. She ate it happily, her skin glowing brighter than it had in days. By day 12, Taeho could barely stand. His body was consuming itself, burning muscle for energy. He tried to hide it, but Arisul noticed everything. She saw him stumble. She saw his hands shake. She saw him growing weaker. One morning, she found him collapsed in the corner of the shuttle. "Taeho," she cried out, shaking him. Her human words were panicked. "Taeho, wake up!" He opened his eyes to find her crying, her small hands on his face. Hyun and the others rushed over. "He's starving himself," Yunji said after checking him. He gave his food to make her compound. Arisul understood. Her silver eyes went wide with horror. She looked at her food bowl, then at Taeho, and she understood what he had done. "No," she cried. "No, no, no. Taeho, eat. Must eat." She grabbed her bowl and tried to make him drink it. He pushed it away weakly. "You need it," he whispered. "I'm okay." "Taeho, stupid," she shouted, tears streaming down her crystalline face. "Taeho, very stupid. Not okay. Taeho dying." It was the longest sentence she had ever spoken in human language, and it broke his heart. "I couldn't let you die," he said. "Your mother asked me to protect you." Arisul pressed her small forehead against his. "Mother gone," she whispered. "Taeho here. Taeho my family now. Family not leave family." In that moment, something changed in the shuttle. Hyun stood up, her face determined. "That's it," she said. "We're not waiting anymore. We're going to send out a distress call. The Veltari will find us," Dongsu warned. "Good, let them find us. Maybe not everyone in the Empire wants this child dead. Maybe someone out there will help." It was a desperate plan. A dangerous plan. But Taeho was dying, and they were out of options. Hyun sent the distress call on all frequencies, both human and Veltari. She included everything. The story of how Taeho found Arisul, how he had protected her, how he was dying to keep her alive. She sent the video log showing a human man starving himself to feed an alien child. For 2 days, there was no response. Then on day 14, they received an answer. It was not from the warship that had been hunting them. It was from something much bigger, a massive Veltari command vessel, 10 times the size of the warship, dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the asteroid field. The communication came through, translated into human speech. The voice was old, powerful, and filled with authority. "This is Queen Narration of the Veltari Empire. I have received your transmission. You have my granddaughter. Surrender her immediately, and you will be granted safe passage to the nearest station." Hope flickered in Taeho's chest. The queen, Arisul's grandmother, surely she would understand. Surely she would see that he had protected the child. "We surrender," Hyun replied. "We're sending coordinates now." A Veltari transport ship retrieved them from the asteroid field. Soldiers, tall and imposing in their crystal armor, escorted them onto the command vessel. Taeho could barely walk, but he refused to let go of Arisul's hand. They were brought into a massive chamber. At the far end, seated on a throne of dark crystal, was the queen. She was ancient and terrible, her skin deep purple like midnight, her eyes burning with cold intelligence. When she saw Arisul, something flickered across her face: relief, love, grief. "Grandmother." Arisul cried out, running forward. The queen stood and caught the child in her arms, holding her close. For a moment she looked like any grandmother reunited with a lost grandchild. Then her eyes turned to Taeho, and in those eyes he saw not gratitude, but rage. The throne room fell silent as Queen Narration stared at Taeho. Arisul was chattering happily in Veltari, telling her grandmother everything that had happened. But the queen was not listening to the words. Her eyes were fixed on Taeho, taking in every detail. His ragged appearance, his thin frame, the way he could barely stand. Then she looked at her granddaughter. Really looked at her. Arisul's skin was glowing with health now, but the queen could see signs of recent strain. Her crystalline structure was slightly dimmed in places. She had been malnourished. She had suffered. The queen's expression hardened into something cold and terrible. "Arisul," she said in Veltari, her voice gentle only for the child. "Go with the attendants. They will feed you and make sure you are well. But grandmother, Teho, now child. The firmness in her voice left no room for argument. Attendants came and led Arisel away. She looked back at Teho, confusion and worry in her silver eyes. He tried to smile at her, to show her everything would be okay, even though he was not sure himself. When the child was gone, the queen's gentleness vanished entirely. "Seize him," she commanded. Guards grabbed Teho before he could react. His weak body offered no resistance. They forced him to his knees. Haiyun, Dongsu, and Yunji were also restrained, though more gently. "Your Majesty," Haiyun started to say, "we can explain." Silence. The queen's voice cut through the air like a blade. She stood and walked down from her throne, each step measured and deliberate. She stopped in front of Teho. "Do you know what you have done, human?" Teho looked up at her, confused. I protected her. Her mother asked me to. You touched royalty without permission. You kidnapped a princess of the Veltari Empire. You removed her from the protection of her people. You allowed her to suffer malnourishment and hardship. I saved her life. You are human. You know nothing of our biology, our needs, our culture. Look at her. She has been dimmed by your ignorance. She has been traumatized by weeks of hiding and fear. She was being hunted. Her mother was murdered by traitors who are now being dealt with. If you had simply reported the crash to proper authorities, my granddaughter would have been safely returned weeks ago. Instead, you played hero and made everything worse. Teho's mind reeled. He had not thought about reporting it to Veltari authorities. He had only thought about the dying warrior's last words. "They come for her," she had said. How was he supposed to know who to trust? A Veltari official stepped forward carrying a data pad. He read from it in a formal tone. "Teho, human citizen of Earth, you are charged with the following crimes: illegal contact with Veltari royalty, kidnapping of Princess Arisel, violation of the Treaty of Centauri Accord, causing physical harm to a member of the royal family, and conspiring with other humans to hide a member of the royal line." Each charge felt like a weight added to Teho's shoulders. Haiyun tried to speak again. "Your Majesty, please listen. We have video logs. We have proof that he was trying to help." "I have seen your transmissions," the queen interrupted. "I have seen the human starving himself. I have seen the primitive attempts at creating suitable nutrition. What I see is incompetence, not heroism." "That's not fair," Dongsu growled. "He didn't have to help her at all. He risked everything. And his recklessness put my granddaughter in greater danger. If she had died under his care, it would have sparked a war between our peoples. Millions could have died because of one mechanic's arrogance." Teho had never thought about it that way. He had only thought about one scared child, not about galactic politics or treaties or wars. The weight of what he had done, what could have happened, crushed down on him. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't know. I couldn't leave her there." The queen knelt down so her eyes were level with his. Up close, he could see the age in her face, the grief carved into every line. She had lost her son. Her daughter-in-law had been murdered, and now she had nearly lost her granddaughter. "Your culture values individual action," she said quietly. "You see a problem, you fix it yourself. But that is not how our world works. We have protocols. We have laws. We have them for reasons you cannot begin to understand." "I understand wanting to protect a child," Teho said. Something flickered in the queen's eyes. Anger, sadness. He could not tell. "The law is clear," she said, standing. "The penalty for causing harm to Veltari royalty is death." Haiyun gasped. Yunji made a sound of protest. Teho felt his heart stop. "You're going to kill me? Not just kill you. Execute you publicly, in a manner fitting your crimes. Crystal disintegration. It is slow, it is painful, and it will serve as a reminder to anyone else who thinks they can touch what belongs to us." "Your Majesty, please." Haiyun was crying now. "He saved her life." Her mother was dying. There were enemies hunting her. What was he supposed to do? Follow protocol. Contact authorities. Trust in systems that have existed for thousands of years. "He's human," Haiyun shouted. "He didn't know your protocols. He just knew a child needed help." The queen turned her cold gaze on Haiyun. "Then he should have stayed in human space and left Veltari affairs to the Veltari." The official stepped forward again. "The execution is scheduled for 3 days from now. It will be broadcast across both Veltari and human space, as per treaty requirements for cross-species crimes. 3 days. Teho had 3 days to live. Guards dragged him to his feet and started pulling him away. He looked back at Haun, at Dongsu, at Unji. His friends. The people who had risked everything to help him. What about them? He asked. They will be released to human custody, the Queen said. Their crime was following a friend's foolish lead. They will face human justice, not ours. As they dragged Taeho from the throne room, he heard a sound that broke his heart. A child's scream. No. No hurt, Taeho. Grandmother, please. Arisol had broken away from her attendants and was running back into the throne room. She grabbed her grandmother's hand, tears streaming down her face. Taeho, good. He saved me, please, grandmother, please. The Queen looked down at her granddaughter, her expression softening slightly. Child, you do not understand. He broke our laws. He saved my life. Mother dying. Bad people coming. Taeho, hide me. Feed me, protect me. He my friend? My family. He is human. He is not your family. Yes. Yes, he is. He give me food when he hungry. He hold me when I scared. Arisol struggled for words in Veltari, then switched to broken human speech. He loved me when everyone dead. He all I have. The Queen closed her eyes, pain crossing her face. I am all you have now, Arisol. I am your family, and I will protect you from those who would harm you even if they claim to help. Taeho not harm me. Take her to her chambers, the Queen ordered. She is upset. She needs rest. As attendants pulled Arisol away, the child screamed and fought, her voice echoing through the halls. Taeho! Taeho, grandmother, please! Don't kill him, please! Taeho was thrown into a cell made entirely of crystal. It was beautiful and terrible, like being trapped inside a diamond. He collapsed on the floor, his starved body finally giving out. 3 days. In 3 days they would kill him. He thought about Arisol's face when she had called him family. He thought about his sister Yuna back on Earth, who would never know what happened to him. He thought about Haun and the others who had believed in him. Had he done the right thing? He had saved Arisol's life, yes, but he had also violated laws he did not understand. He had put his friends in danger. He had nearly sparked an interstellar war. Maybe the Queen was right. Maybe he had been arrogant and stupid. But when he closed his eyes, all he saw was that first night. A scared child crying over her dead mother, and he knew, even facing death, that he would make the same choice again. He would protect her. That was all that mattered. Outside his cell, somewhere in the vast ship, Arisol was still screaming for him. The sound tore at his heart, but there was nothing he could do. He had saved her life. Now he would pay for it with his own. The crystal cell had no windows, but Taeho knew when day turned to night by the dimming of the lights. 2 days had passed. 1 day remained. Tomorrow they would execute him. He should have been terrified. He should have been angry or desperate. Instead, he felt strangely calm. Taeho had spent his whole life feeling useless, just a mechanic on a forgotten station sending money home to a sister he barely saw. But these last few weeks, hiding Arisol, protecting her, starving himself so she could eat, those had meant something. If he died tomorrow, at least he died knowing he had done one good thing in his life. The crystal wall suddenly flickered, and Hyun's face appeared like a hologram. She had hacked into the communication system somehow. Taeho, she whispered urgently. Can you hear me? Hyun? How did you? Dongsu helped. We don't have much time. Listen, we're trying to help you. We've contacted Earth's diplomatic corps. Ambassador Jinsuk is on her way. It won't matter. The Queen has made up her mind. You can't give up. I'm not giving up. I'm just accepting it. He managed a weak smile. Make sure Arisol is okay. That's all I care about. Hyun's eyes filled with tears. She's not okay. She won't eat. She won't sleep. She just draws pictures of you and cries. Taeho, she's breaking apart. Pain shot through his chest, worse than any hunger he had endured. Tell her. Tell her I'm proud of her. Tell her to be brave. You tell her yourself. We're going to get you out of this. Before he could respond, the connection cut off. Taeho was alone again with his thoughts. But Haun was not lying. Things were happening outside his cell that he knew nothing about. The news had spread fast. Human sentenced to death for saving alien princess was a headline that captured imaginations across both human and Veltari space. Public opinion was sharply divided. Many Veltari agreed with the Queen. Law was law. The human had broken sacred protocols. He deserved punishment, but many humans were outraged. They saw a hero being murdered for an act of compassion. Protests erupted on Earth and human colonies. People carried signs reading, "Tejo is innocent and kindness is not a crime." The story became something bigger than one man. It became a question about what mattered more, rules or compassion, law or life. Inside the Veltari command ship, Arisul had stopped speaking entirely. She refused every meal. When attendants tried to force her to eat, she pushed the food away. She would not sleep in the soft bed they provided. Instead, she curled up in the corner of her chamber, just as she had done in Taiho's small quarters. The queen came to see her granddaughter on the second day. "Arisul, please. You must eat. You are making yourself sick." The child looked at her grandmother with dull, lifeless eyes. In 2 days, she had lost all her glow. Her silver light was almost gone. "Tejo hungry for me," she said quietly in Veltari. "I hungry for him. Is fair. That is foolish, child. Then I foolish like Tejo." "Tejo very good foolish." The queen sat beside her granddaughter. "You are confused. The human kept you in terrible conditions. You were malnourished, because he give me his food. He starved so I eat. He did not know how to care for you properly. He learn. He try, he not leave me." The queen struggled for words. How could she explain to a child about law, about duty, about the way the universe had to work? "There are rules, Arisul. If we do not follow them, there is chaos." Arisul looked at her grandmother with ancient eyes that had seen too much death for one so young. "Mother, follow rules. She die. Father, follow rules. He die. Tejo break rules. I live." The queen had no answer for that. That evening, Ambassador Jinsuk arrived with a delegation from Earth. She was a sharp woman with steel in her eyes, and she came bearing evidence. The queen received her in the throne room, though she was clearly not pleased about it. "Your Majesty," Jinsuk began, her voice respectful but firm, "I come to request clemency for Tejo. Your request is denied. Then at least look at the evidence we have compiled." Jinsuk presented everything. Security footage from the mining station showing the crash. Video from Taiho's quarters showing him giving Arisul more than half his food. Medical scans showing how close to death he had been. This man did not kidnap the princess, Jinsuk argued. He protected her from assassins. He had no way to contact Veltari authorities safely. The hunter ship that came to the station was looking to kill her, not save her. That ship was commanded by traitors, the queen admitted. They have been dealt with. How was Tejo supposed to know that? He saw armed soldiers hunting a child. He made the only choice that made sense. He hit her. A Veltari doctor stepped forward, one who had examined Arisul. "Your Majesty, I must add something. The mineral mixture the human created, it should not have worked. He had no knowledge of our biology, but somehow through trial and error he created a compound that was nearly perfect for the princess's needs." "Nearly perfect is not perfect," the queen said coldly. "No, but it kept her alive when she would have died otherwise. In fact," the doctor hesitated. "In fact, based on her condition when she was found, she would have died within 2 days if not for his intervention. The human saved her life." The queen was quiet for a long moment. "That does not excuse his crimes." "Perhaps not," Jinsuk said. "But Veltari law also speaks of debt, does it not? Life debt. He saved Princess Arisul's life. According to your own customs, that debt must be acknowledged. Do not lecture me on my own customs, human. I would not dare, Your Majesty. I am simply asking what matters more, the letter of the law or the spirit of it. The law exists to protect life. Tejo protected life. He did what the law was meant to ensure." Before the queen could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A Veltari officer rushed into the throne room. "Your Majesty, Lady Kiravan has escaped custody. She has seized 3 warships and is demanding you step down from the throne." The queen stood, her face dark with anger. Kiravan, the one who had murdered the king and started this whole nightmare. She says, the officer hesitated. "She says that your mercy toward the human proves you are weak, that you put sentiment above law. She is calling for noble houses to support her claim to the throne." The queen's hands clenched into fists. This was what she had feared. This was why she could not show mercy. Any sign of weakness would be used against her. If she pardoned Tejo, Kiravan would use it as proof that the queen was soft, that she allowed humans to break sacred laws without consequence. The noble houses who already doubted her would turn against her. But if she executed him, she would be killing the man who saved her granddaughter's life. The man Arisul called family. There was no right answer. Jinsuk watched the queen's face carefully. Your Majesty, she said quietly, there is a human saying. The law is meant to serve the people, not the people to serve the law. If following the law brings injustice, perhaps the law needs to change. The queen looked at the human ambassador, then at the evidence spread before her. Video of Teho barely able to stand, still trying to protect Arisul. Medical records showing his near starvation. Arisul's own testimony, given in broken human words. He loved me when everyone dead. Outside the throne room, somewhere in this massive ship, her granddaughter was slowly dying from grief and a hunger strike. And tomorrow, at dawn, they would execute the only person who had shown the child pure, selfless love. The queen closed her eyes. For the first time in her long life, she did not know what to do. Dawn came too quickly. Teho was pulled from his cell before the artificial lights had fully brightened. Guards in crystal armor marched him through the corridors of the command ship. He did not resist. There was no point. They brought him to a vast chamber. One entire wall was transparent, showing the stars beyond. In the center of the room stood a platform made of dark crystal. This was where he would die. The chamber was filling with people. Veltari nobles in elaborate armor, human diplomats looking grim, cameras floating in the air. This execution would be broadcast across both empires just as the queen had promised. Taiho saw Haun in the crowd. She was crying. Beside her stood Dongsu and Yunji, both looking shattered. He tried to smile at them to show them it was okay, but his face would not cooperate. The queen entered, and everyone bowed. She walked to her throne at the front of the chamber, her face unreadable. Arisul was not with her. A Veltari official read the charges again, his voice echoing through the chamber. Each word was another nail in Teho's coffin. When he finished, he turned to the queen. Your Majesty, do you confirm the sentence? The queen opened her mouth to speak, and then the doors burst open. Arisul ran into the chamber, her attendants chasing after her. She had escaped her room somehow. Her small feet slapped against the crystal floor as she ran straight toward Teho. No, she screamed. No hurt, Teho. Guards moved to stop her, but the queen held up a hand. They froze. Arisul reached Teho and wrapped her small arms around his legs, the only part of him she could reach. She looked up at her grandmother with desperate eyes. Please, grandmother, please, he all I have. Everyone dead. Mama dead, Papa dead. Everyone gone. Only Teho stay. Only Teho love me. I love you, the queen said, her voice softer than Teho had ever heard it. Then not kill my family. The queen's face hardened again. He is not your family, child. He is human. What is family? Arisul demanded. In that moment, she did not sound like a 7-year-old. She sounded like a queen. Family is people who protect you when everyone else leave. Family is people who give food when they hungry. Family is people who hold you when you cry. Teho do all this. You say he not family because he human. I say he more family than our nobles who kill Papa and Mama. A shocked murmur went through the crowd. Arisul had just publicly shamed the Veltari nobility. The queen stood. Arisul, you do not understand. I understand. The child's voice rang clear and strong. I understand Mama dying. I understand bad people hunting me. I understand Teho saving me when he not have to. What I not understand is why you kill him for being good. The chamber fell silent. Every eye was on the small princess clinging to the condemned human. Then Arisul did something that shocked everyone. She spoke in formal Veltari, the language of the royal court, perfect and clear. I invoke the right of life debt, she declared. The crowd gasped. Even the queen looked surprised. You are too young to invoke such rights, the queen said. The law does not specify age, only that the debt must be real. Teho saved my life. By Veltari law, I owe him a life debt, and life debt cannot be repaid if the one who saved you is dead. An elderly Veltari noble stepped forward. The child is correct, Your Majesty. Life debt supersedes other crimes. It is one of our oldest laws. The queen's face was a mask of conflict. The law also says that crimes against royalty cannot be pardoned except by the one harmed, Arisul continued. I am the one harmed, and I say there was no harm, only help. I pardon him. You are a child. I am a princess. I am heir to the throne. My words have weight or they do not. Which is it, grandmother? The queen looked at her granddaughter, really looked at her. In 2 weeks, this child had grown in ways that should have taken years. She had learned a new language. She had survived assassination and escape. She had bonded with an alien who should have been her enemy. And now she stood in a room full of adults and nobles, using their own laws against them to save the life of her friend. The queen had never been more proud or more frustrated. Life debt is real, the queen finally said. But it does not erase the other crimes. He touched royalty without permission. He violated treaties. These things cannot be dismissed. Ambassador Jin Suk stepped forward. Your Majesty, if I may, in human culture, we have a concept called extenuating circumstances. When the rules do not account for unusual situations, we make exceptions. Surely Veltari law has something similar. We have precedent, the elderly noble said. There is a case 3,000 years ago, when a commoner saved the life of a prince during a war. The commoner had broken many laws to do so. The emperor of that time created a new category, guardian by necessity. The commoner was pardoned but required to serve the prince as protector and teacher until the prince came of age. The queen's eyes narrowed. You are suggesting I make this human my granddaughter's guardian? It is precedent, Your Majesty, and it solves multiple problems. The human's crimes are acknowledged but pardoned in service of a greater good. The life debt is honored, and Princess Arisul gets to keep the one person who brings her comfort. The queen looked at Tai-Ho for the first time since the trial began. You are willing to accept this? To live among my people? To help raise my granddaughter? Tai-Ho's voice was rough from lack of use. If it means she's safe and happy, yes. You would give up your home, your people, your life as you know it? I already did that when I hid her in my quarters. Something like respect flickered in the queen's eyes, but then another voice rang out cold and mocking. How touching. Everyone turned. On the viewing screens, a face appeared, the woman from Arisul's drawings. Sharp features, cold eyes, Lady Kiravan. So the great Queen Narration bends her laws for a human, Kiravan sneered. The nobles whispered that you were weak. Now you prove it. You would pardon the human who kidnapped our princess, who violated every sacred law we have, simply because the child has grown attached to him. He saved her life, the queen said coldly. He stole her from her people, and now you reward him with a position of trust? You let him raise the future queen? What does this say about Veltari pride? What does this say about our superiority? Several nobles in the crowd murmured in agreement. Tai-Ho could see the political trap closing around the queen. If she pardoned him, she looked weak. If she executed him, she killed the man her granddaughter loved and broke the law of life debt. There was no winning. Kiravan smiled on the screen. I challenge your right to the throne, Narration. You put sentiment above law. You value one human over the pride of an empire. Step down, or I will take the throne by force. The queen stood tall, her presence filling the room. You murdered my son, she said, her voice deadly calm. You tried to murder my granddaughter, and now you lecture me about law, about pride. I did what was necessary to make our empire strong. You make us weak. No. The voice came from Arisul, small but clear. You make us small. Kiravan's eyes shifted to the child. You should be grateful, little princess. I tried to give you a quick death. Now you will watch your pet human die slowly. Tai-Ho, not pet. Tai-Ho family. And he teach me something you never learn. And what is that, child? Being strong not mean being cruel. Being proud not mean being alone. Being right not mean being good. Arisul looked up at her grandmother. Grandmother, you choose. Kill Tai-Ho and keep old laws. Or save Tai-Ho and make new laws. Both are strong choices. But only one is good. The queen looked down at her granddaughter. At 7 years old, this child had more wisdom than most of the nobles in the room. Then she looked at Tai-Ho. A weak, starving human who had given everything to protect someone else's child, and she made her choice. I will not execute Tai-Ho, the queen declared. I will not follow old laws that punish goodness. I will not let fear of looking weak stop me from doing what is right. From this moment forward, Tai-Ho is guardian to Princess Arisul. He will serve until she comes of age, and anyone who questions this decision can take it up with me personally. The room erupted in noise. Some nobles cheered. Others protested loudly. On the screen, Kiravan's face twisted with rage. Then you choose war, old woman. I am coming for you, and when I take the throne, the human will be the first to die. The screen went dark. The queen looked at Tai-Ho and Arisul, still clinging to each other. "This will not be easy," she said quietly. "Kiravan has support. There will be fighting. And you," she pointed at Tai-Ho, "you will be a target. They will try to kill you to hurt me and my granddaughter." "I understand," Tai-Ho said, "do you? You have just become a piece in a political war. Your life will never be simple again." Tai-Ho looked down at Arisul, who was smiling up at him through her tears. Her silver light was returning, glowing brighter with hope. "I didn't have much of a life before anyway," he said. "At least this one matters." The queen shook her head, but there was the ghost of a smile on her face. "You are a very strange human," she said. "Thank you. Your Majesty." "That was not a compliment," Arisul laughed. "The sound like music after so much tension and fear." The queen had made her choice. She had shown mercy over law, compassion over pride, and now they would all face the consequences together. 7 years passed. They were not easy years. Lady Kiravan made good on her threat. She rallied support from xenophobic noble houses who hated seeing a human in the royal palace. There were battles. There were assassination attempts. There were times when Tai-Ho wondered if he had made the right choice. But then Arisul would laugh at something he said, or show him a new word she had learned, or fall asleep with her head on his shoulder while he told her stories about Earth. And he knew he would make the same choice 1,000 times over. The turning point came in year 3. Kiravan launched a full assault on the royal palace. She had 3 warships and an army of loyal soldiers. It should have been a massacre. The queen's forces were outnumbered and outgunned, but Kiravan had made one critical mistake. She assumed humans fought like Veltari, with honor, with formations, with predictable tactics. Tai-Ho was still just a mechanic. But he had spent 3 years learning the palace inside and out, fixing systems, understanding how everything worked. And when Kiravan's forces attacked, he did what humans do best. He improvised. He rerouted power from the shields to the engines at the exact moment Kiravan expected the opposite. He used maintenance tunnels that Veltari warriors were too large to fit through to launch surprise attacks. He turned the palace's waste disposal system into a weapon, venting superheated gas into corridors where enemy soldiers stood. It was not honorable. It was not glorious. It was messy and chaotic and completely unexpected, and it worked. Kiravan was captured. Her rebellion collapsed, and the nobles who had whispered that the queen was weak for keeping a human around suddenly looked at Tai-Ho with new respect. "You fight without honor," one old noble told him after the battle. "I fight to protect what I love," Tai-Ho replied. "That's the only honor that matters to me." The old noble had smiled. Perhaps there is wisdom in the human way after all. From that day forward, things changed. Tai-Ho was no longer just the human guardian. He became a bridge between 2 cultures. He taught Arisul about human creativity, adaptability, and compassion. She taught him about Veltari honor, wisdom, and patience. Ha-Yun, Dong-Su, and Yunji were given positions in the Veltari diplomatic corps. They helped build relationships between human and Veltari worlds. What had started as one mechanic's act of kindness became a foundation for cooperation between 2 species. But all things must end. On the morning of Arisul's 14th birthday, she stood before the High Council to receive her official title as Crown Princess. She was tall now, almost as tall as her grandmother, and her silver light shone like a star. She spoke with confidence and wisdom that made Tai-Ho's heart swell with pride. After the ceremony, she found him in the palace gardens. "My service is complete," Tai-Ho said quietly. 7 years as the law required. "You're old enough now that you don't need a guardian." Arisul sat beside him on a bench made of crystal that reflected the sunset. She was quiet for a long moment. "Do you want to leave?" she asked in perfect human speech. Her accent was still there. She could never quite get rid of it, but her words were clear. "I want you to be free to choose your own path, without me holding you back." "Holding me back?" Arisul laughed. "Tai-Ho, you taught me everything important. Not the politics, grandmother taught me that. Not the military strategy, the generals taught me that. But you taught me how to be kind, how to think differently, how to see solutions where others see only rules. Your grandmother was right back then. I broke a lot of laws, and saved my life, and changed our empire for the better. Do you know what they call you in the outer colonies?" Tai-Ho shook his head. the guardian who changed the stars. There is a holiday now on the anniversary of when grandmother pardoned you. It is called the Day of Second Chances. Children across the Empire learn about the human who proved that compassion matters more than protocol. Taeho felt his face flush. That's embarrassing. That is your legacy. Arisul took his hand in hers the way she had when she was small and scared. You changed me. You changed grandmother. You changed how Veltari think about humans, about rules, about what really matters. I just did what felt right. Exactly. And that is the most human thing of all. You do not overthink. You do not worry about every consequence. You see someone who needs help and you help them. It is beautiful and terrifying and wonderful. They sat in comfortable silence watching the alien sun set over the palace. Taeho thought about the past 7 years. The fear, the battles, the late nights teaching Arisul about Earth while she taught him about her world, the way the Queen had slowly warmed to him, even asking his advice on political matters, the friendships he had built with Veltari warriors and nobles who once saw him as a criminal. I got a message from Yuna, Taeho said. My sister. She wants me to come visit Earth, bring you if you want. She says her daughter, my niece, wants to meet the famous alien princess. Arisul's eyes lit up. I would love that. I want to see where you came from. I want to understand what made you so... You. I'm not that interesting. You are the most interesting person I know. You are a mechanic who became a guardian, a criminal who became a hero, a human who became family to an alien empire. I'm just Taeho. Exactly. Just Taeho, and that is enough. The Queen found them there an hour later. She looked older now, but content. The rebellion was over. Her granddaughter was safe. The empire was stable. Taeho, she said, your 7 years of service have ended. You are free to return to human space if you wish. I know, Your Majesty. But before you decide, I have a proposal. The Queen sat beside them, which was unusual. She rarely sat anywhere except her throne. Arisul will be queen someday. She will need advisors she trusts. Veltari advisors, yes, but also someone who thinks differently. Someone who is not bound by our traditions. Someone who has already proven he will protect her no matter the cost. You want me to stay? I want you to choose. But if you stay, it will not be as a servant or a guardian. It will be as family, officially adopted into the royal line, with all the rights and responsibilities that come with it. Taeho looked at her in shock. You want to adopt me? Arisul considers you family. After 7 years, I suppose I do too. You are stubborn, reckless, and you have no respect for proper protocol. But you are also brave, kind, and you love my granddaughter as if she were your own child. That matters more than I thought possible. Arisul squeezed Taeho's hand. She said nothing, but her eyes were hopeful. Taeho thought about his old life, the mining station, the loneliness, the feeling of being useless and forgotten. Then he thought about his new life, teaching Arisul to play human games, debating philosophy with the Queen, working with Haon on diplomatic projects, having purpose and meaning and people who needed him. Can I still visit my sister? He asked. Of course, the Queen said. Family visits family. That is important. Then I accept. I'll stay. Arisul threw her arms around him, laughing and crying at the same time. The Queen smiled, a real smile, warm and genuine. That night there was a celebration. The formal adoption ceremony was simple but profound. Taeho, the lonely mechanic from a forgotten mining station, became Prince Taeho, adopted son of Queen Narration. Guardian and brother to Crown Princess Arisul Hayun gave a speech that made everyone laugh and cry. Dongsu got drunk on Veltari wine and tried to teach the palace guards human drinking songs. Yunji presented a medical study showing how human-Veltari cooperation had led to breakthroughs in medicine for both species. But the best part came at the end of the night. Arisul stood before the gathered crowd. Veltari nobles, human diplomats, warriors and scholars from across the empire. She spoke in both Veltari and human languages, switching back and forth effortlessly. 7 years ago, my mother died protecting me. She asked a stranger to keep me safe. That stranger could have walked away. He should have walked away. Every logical reason said to leave me there and let someone else handle the problem. But Taeho did not walk away. He chose compassion over logic, love over law. And that choice changed everything. She pulled out a document, holding it up for all to see. Today I announced the Taeho Accords, new laws for our empire, created in honor of the human who showed us a better way. These laws state that compassion is not weakness, that protecting the helpless is the highest duty. That refugees and children, no matter their species, will be given sanctuary and care. That we will judge actions by their intent and outcome, not just by the rules they break. The crowd erupted in cheers. The queen stood and embraced her granddaughter, pride shining in her ancient eyes. Tejo stood off to the side, overwhelmed. He had never wanted to be a hero or a prince or a bridge between civilizations. He had just wanted to help one scared child, but sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes. Years later, when Arisul became queen, she would rule with wisdom and compassion. She would continue building bridges between species. She would be known as the greatest queen in Veltari history, and she would always keep a small hologram in her throne room. It showed a thin, tired human mechanic holding a scared alien child, both of them smiling despite everything. Beneath it, carved in both Veltari and human script, were words. He protected me when the universe said to walk away. This is what heroism looks like.